Welcome to the Dansports.tips MLB preview show for today, the 26th of April. Bit more clear-headed today, not quite as fluey as I was yesterday. Certainly feel a lot better about today's selections after we struck out swinging in my fluey, foggy haze yesterday. I'm going to quick fire it through them today because there are quite a few of them. Let's get on to it. The first game is the Chicago White Sox -1.5 against the Toronto Blue Jays. R.A. Dickey's on the hill today for the Jays. He's had a 7+ ERA in his last 4 against the Pale Hose. Add to a 1-2 record with a 5+ ERA this year. Chris Sale's in opposition for the White Sox. He's been dominant this year, going 4-0. The surprising Sox can continue here, I think, as Chris Sale can quiet the red-hot bats of the Blue Jays lineup. The next game is the Baltimore Orioles. We'll play -1.5 and -3.5 against the Tampa Bay Rays. Jake Odorizzi's been inconsistent this year, alternating good and bad starts. Now, he has had including one where he gave 4 runs up against the Orioles. He's struggled historically against the Baltimore Orioles with a 6+ ERA in 4 starts. We are trusting Ubaldo Jimenez, which is never the greatest place to be. But if he can pitch well, that's going to be a bonus for us here. We have got the backup of Tampa Bay not exactly being particularly powerful run-scoring lineup as well. And I fancy the Orioles to get the win at the Trop today. The Minnesota Twins -1.5 against the Cleveland Indians. I can't quite believe I'm taking Ricky Nolasco here. I don't like what I've seen from either of these teams offensively with the bat this year, but Cody Anderson comes into this game for Cleveland, having allowed 5 runs in each of his 2 starts this year, in each of his last 2 starts, and he's allowed 5 home runs in 3 starts this year. Ricky Nolasco has been outstanding from what we've seen. Looks like the old pitcher from Miami rather than the Minnesota version of the last couple of seasons. If Anderson does continue to struggle, you're going to want to be with the Twins at a decent price in this one. The Pittsburgh Pirates -1.5 against the Colorado Rockies. I'm also going to play a little bit at -5.5. It's always dangerous at calls because runs can rain down. They didn't last night, but we have got a bona fide stud in Garrett Cole on the hill against a struggling starter who isn't throwing as hard as he used to in Jorge De La Rosa for the Rockies. Both these lineups can score runs, but taking into account the pitchers that are there today, it'll be very surprising for me if the Rockies do outperform the Bucks. And as I say, you've got a stud. He hasn't pitched at calls. We don't know how he's going to deal with that. But I like Cole today, I think, for the Pirates. Kansas City Royals -1.5 against the Los Angeles Angels. It's hard to argue with Edinson Volquez, what he's done this year and last year in the World Series. I'm still not a believer in Jared Weaver. A little bit of poetry for you there. He had massive struggles in his 2 games against Kansas City last year with multiple homers allowed and an ERA over 6. It'll take more than one shutdown performance of the White Sox for me to be on board with Jared Weaver this year. San Francisco -1.5 against the San Diego Padres. Johnny Cueto has been pretty good for San Francisco. Did take the loss last time. He can be expected to continue on his good path today as he has experienced success in his career against the Padres. The Giants' bats are heating up and starting to score runs, while the San Diego offense remains grounded in its own futility. James Shields is pitching better for them than he was last year when he led Major League Baseball in home runs allowed. He was particularly bad in his performance in AT&T Park. Personally, I'm not expecting necessarily a massively high-scoring game in this one, but I do think that the Giants will be able to produce enough off of Shields to get Cueto back on the winning trail here. There will be another play, I'd imagine. I'm looking at the Chicago Cubs. Check my Twitter account regularly through the day because the prices, as usual with the Cubs games, for whatever the reason is, they don't price them up till much later when they're playing at Wrigley. I'm fully expecting to have a good play on the Cubs today as well. So as I say, keep checking on Twitter. Those are the plays I've got for today. Let's hope we bag a few winners, get ourselves back into positive numbers. Play ball.